you, if you're watching this show, it is because you have demanded it. You can tell Kirk's on one end, I'm on the other end, and we have Stephanie Garcia here with us today. Oh my gosh, Stephanie, welcome to the stream show.
Hello, hello. My goodness, I'm excited. You guys, it's a Sunday. You know it's going to be a good one.
Yes, it's going to be a
Yeah,
good one, and we're so happy to have you here with us. Kirk, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, man. I'm so glad to be back home. The holidays are in the rear view. I love the holidays, but I just, it's something it's something to be said for being in your own space.
That
It's
is
just,
so true.
yeah, yeah.
That is so true. And this show, really, Kirk, it was your idea to say, hey, let's start the year off trying to help people get unstuck when they're creating
Unstuck.
stuff. Could you
Yes.
explain, like, the reason why you wanted to be sure to have this particular show?
Yeah, I'm in fact in our pre-show, Stephanie said it, and it's what I have experiences as well. It's just so many different people around this time of year. They're trying to gain some momentum. They're trying to move forward. They keep on hitting roadblocks, and sometimes answers don't come as quickly as you'd like them to. So in a lot of the coaching that I do, morning motivation that I'm doing, it's a myriad of that kind of things, all kind of around that same question. Like, I just want to move forward. And it's like, okay, what do we need to do to get you unstuck? And so I'll say this. This is what I was going to say in the pre-show, but we're live, so I'll say it live. Strick and I were like, we need a earth-shattering big guest for our first show of the year.
That is so true.
And am I lying, Strick? I mean,
No, no, no.
we said we've got to have somebody who, when that flyer comes out, folks are like, okay, they're putting it all together for us. So, Stephanie, we are excited to have you with us today. I've got my notepad here, ready to go. So
Yes.
I'm not playing around. I've got my
Listen,
pen
I'm
and
with you,
paper.
Kirk. I'm telling you,
Yeah. Hey,
that's
no,
the
it's
part
not a
that's
game.
written. Turn
So,
my page here. Let's
and
go.
yeah, and I'm just gonna say this to the audience as well, man. If you've not looked at the remote production series, that was it, Secrets from the Set showrunner series that she did. If you've not looked at, her template for the pricing guide for what to do for. Listen, I am such a fan. I just
I'm
want
a fan
lights,
as well.
cameras, let's go. Right, I'm such a fan. So we're so excited to have her on. Make sure you have your pen and paper ready to go as well, because it's about to go down. And I'll say this as well. Strick's always good about this, about including the audience in the chat. But if you have a particular question, right, put it in the chat. We
About
don't
being
mind answering
unstuck,
that. Yeah.
having a
How can we
particular
get you unstuck?
experience. Yeah, yeah, we want to know
Perfect.
that. We want to
We
know
want to know
that.
that.
And we're so excited to have Stephanie with us. We will not let her talk until we tell her how excited we are.
We are not letting her speak. No.
No, you're good. You're good.
Listen,
This is
please
fun.
chime into the comments. I'm going to get to the comments in just a second. But Stephanie,
Yep.
you have done some. People don't know this, and Stephanie, you may not know this. I am like your number one fan. I'm the president of the
I don't know about
Stephanie
that.
Garcia fan club.
I don't know. I don't
People
know.
come onto the show. Alex was on the show. Stephanie said, Dan is always in the comments. Stephanie said,
Stephanie said,
I know Stephanie. I know what she said. I'm saying what she says anyway. But we really do love the material you put out there. Of course, I follow you on Instagram, and you're just doing some amazing things. Just to get started off, again, thank you. And tell us about some of the latest things that you're doing out there that people can follow you on.
Of
excellent.
course. So, for those of you who I have not had the pleasure of meeting just yet, I'm Stephanie, and I am the host of Lights Camera Live. I help my clients go from unknown to unforgettable by leveraging live video. So I am a marketing ad agency veteran. I've helped my clients get on the fascination fast track by teaching them how to be confident on camera. I'm also teaching people a lot these days of how to leverage content frameworks so that way they could
Hmm.
get unstuck and start creating content that actually motivates the masses. It's not just about algorithms and all those different things. For me, it's really about creating content that's going to leave your legacy. And
Come
what does
on.
that actually mean? And how do you do it in such a way that you don't lose sleep over it over at night? You know exactly what you're going to talk about. And so I also have digital confetti, which is kind of like it's like my own mini cohort of content creators. And every week we have this accountability where I say, okay, tell me what you're working on. And sometimes they'll say like, oh, I'm launching a workshop, a campaign, or all these different things. And
Mhm.
obviously my strategist brain, like the both of you know me so well, I'm like, ooh, I've got a plan for you. And
Come
so I'll
on.
just detail it out. I'm like, okay, so if I were you and I was launching this, this is what I would create. This is how I would say it. Oh, and if you're going to be shooting B-roll, bop, 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 bop.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
like, these are all the things that you need that I would do. I'm not saying you have to do it, but you have me in your back pocket in the sense that if you wanted to leverage my ideas, by all means, go for it. So that's those are the fun things that I've been working on.
I
I
love that.
love it. I love it. And so many people from your community are here with us today. I want to go to the comments here. And this is not one, this is one for last week. And I might as well add you into the show
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. Let's see if we can add
What fun
her
is that?
in. Why
Yeah,
don't you
yeah, yeah.
come
No,
on
yeah.
in?
Add her in the middle. Add her in the middle. Let me see what else George
There's
Canellis,
two
thank you so
Kirks.
much
I
for
don't know
being
if I
here
can
with
handle
us.
two Kirks.
Yeah, yeah. So George Canellis, thank you for being with us. Honest Accomplice is here. Thank you so much for coming through and hanging out. Kimberly G, hello to you. Talk Virtual is here as well. Says hello, y'all. Rainy Cajun, what up, fam? Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight. We are excited. Can you tell?
Yeah, and there you go. So Dan, he is kind of responsible for this.
Actually, yeah, that's correct. Dan is
Talking
kind of
her up every
responsible.
week. You remember what Stephanie said? Yes, sir. We remember what
We
Stephanie
do.
said.
We listen. That's a whole hashtag. What did Stephanie say?
What did Stephanie say? We should
And
just
plus the new
start there,
merch.
right?
Dub Dub SD. What would Stephanie do?
Exactly, exactly. Erica, good. Thank you for hanging out with us. Jeremy, thank you for hanging out with us today. And we're going to get to Dan here. He's already setting it up. You got to join Digital Confetti with Stephanie. Yes, and Keely, man, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Erica, we are super excited about this. We're so excited. We're not letting her say anything. Oh, we gotta allow her to have a chance to get on with us today. And my stream deck is not where I want it to be. So let's move this around.
Isn't that
Three.
funny? I
Oh,
feel like over the holidays, I didn't touch like my content studio for a while. And then I was
Mm-hmm.
like, why did I take this HDMI cable out? And it's because I was building my new studio upstairs. And I
oh
was like,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's gonna look different. It's starting to look different. There's just so much going on.
That's right.
2026.
You have a new studio
I
that you
love
just built.
that. That's
It's
right.
268 square feet, which is like massive. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I've got
Whoa.
like I've got two desks. I've got a standing desk, and then on the other side, I've got like a sit down desk, which is the typical one that I use. And
Mm.
now I'm just like, oh, I
Go
gotta
get it.
have
Go
to
get it.
furnish
I'm
it.
super excited to see what
I
you
think
do.
it's
So
gonna be
what
awesome.
happens with everybody, Kirk, is as far as our content creator leaders that we follow, when they move and push the issue and promote themselves and do things differently and how it allow other people behind them to do what they
Right.
were doing and to see themselves building studios as well. So I
Yeah.
might say
No,
I'm
that's
not
it.
ready for a studio yet, but this is some other things Stephanie was doing before she got there. Let me start with a
Mm.
group, a community, and do this, and this that she was doing and work my way to my studio.
Yeah, this is, I'm certain because it's Stephanie that she's gonna probably, kind of video her whole way through the studio build process, and that's gonna be, more confetti that she's gonna sprinkle around the interwebs. So this is, I mean, it's all a cheat code. It's none of it is just information for information's sake. If you are paying attention, if you are taking notes, you can start to kind of see, oh, there's a method to the whole thing, right?
There's a whole
Imagine
thing. Yeah.
getting your entire studio paid for because you're actually vlogging the whole thing, and
How
you
did you
got
know that? That's exactly what I was
sponsors.
doing.
I
I mean,
I'm just guessing. I'm just
side
guessing.
note, if you are actually really taking notes,
I
I
am.
was I was pitching brands and I literally said, "Hey, I'm a live streamer. This is what
Yep.
I've been doing for the past
Yep.
couple of years. I'm planning on updating my studio. Do you have any artwork that I could feature in here or da 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 da?" And
Ooh.
I was just like, "Come through. These are the different things that I could do to help you from a UGC perspective. I could do unboxing videos. I could show you how I'm measuring the room and all these different things." Yeah, it's
Love
You're
it.
See,
building
it's
studios
just
too. I've seen your stuff. I've seen your
oh
stuff.
yeah. No, everything you're saying is like ding 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 ding. It's like an idea, I don't know, an idea cafeteria. I don't know. I'm handing it back over to Strick because I'm really just fangirling out at this point.
So am I. But let's get into this because people are here and they want to get unstuck. Like they've saw the promos that we made. They've seen the reels, and they're here because something is stopping them from creating. And
Yeah.
I think that Stephanie, your story, because we all have experience being stuck at some point in our creator journey, and it has affected us. But in some cases, if we work through it the right way, it can also help jumpstart some things to
That's
where we
correct.
actually figure it out. The light bulb comes on, and you go from unstuck to making some amazing content.
I
Stephanie,
love
let
it.
me ask you this question. Personally, have you ever been in an experience as a content creator starting out and just was having a block, like a creator block on what to create, or some of the things that you were creating and just wasn't connecting with the audience and you just didn't know a direction or where to go? Have you
Mhm.
ever personally experienced that?
I like
Mm.
every day. You know, yeah, I mean, you have to admit, especially when you're part of the Ecamm fam, like when like a new feature drops and you want to do something about it, but then like someone else beats you to it. And you're like, oh, well, Doc already said something about it, so I shouldn't do it. But I think
Mm.
oftentimes we have to remember that Doc's audience and my audience, while it may overlap a little bit like a Venn diagram, it's not my whole entire audience. And so I think
Mm.
oftentimes you could still talk about like the same topics, but what's your spin on it? So Doc
Right.
will always be like my CTO, my chief technology officer. Will he'll geek out and he has his musical Tourette's and whatnot, right? And then on my end, I have my very active LinkedIn audience, which is very B2B. They're CMOs, they're executives, and they're trying to wonder, well, how do I build out my studio and how do you make this make sense? And so sometimes for me, I'm just like, just take A plus B and it equals C. Whereas Doc like, well,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And so personal experiences as far as like how to overcome being stuck is, well, what's
Mm.
my spin on it? I always used to make this joke with like Luria, right? Because Luria has her own like Italian spaghetti. And I don't know if you guys know this, but there's like Filipino spaghetti, which is
Yes, I do.
completely different. If you have Filipino friends, right? It tastes different. The
It
ingredients are different,
does.
but it's Filipino spaghetti. It's sweeter. It's actually made with like banana ketchup. And
Yep.
it's a different flavor to it. And so how
Totally.
you present and put it out there, it's always going to be your spin. Does that make sense?
It does.
Hmm.
It
So
does, even though it's
you
named
could
the
find
same.
inspiration from other people,
Right.
but then you definitely want to put your own filter on it, on how would you explain it to your own girlfriend. So something for me is, one of my best friends is Claudia Sandoval, and she's like a chef. And like when she and I hang out, it's like, girl, it's
Right.
just like how we talk to each other is very different. And so I take that into the perspective of like how I'm scripting things out. Because sometimes I could script it out if it's going to be for a B2B audience. But if it's something that I want to be for an Instagram reel, it'll have like a completely different vibe.
Mm. So good,
I get it.
because you're contextualizing the content. It actually is the same content, but you're making it twice for two different audiences. Regardless of whatever you may have heard, or if there's an overlap with somebody else, like you said with Doc or whoever, there's still relevance for you putting out that content because you're going to put your own spin on it, and you're going to tailor it to that particular audience that you're looking to speak to. That's really
I
good.
love that. Yeah. And here's something else, because now I'm geeking out because my Celsius is kicking in. So
Let's go.
you know how that is. Um, so like even like this one thing, what did I have recently? So Obsbot had sent me the Tiny 2, like the webcam, the
Mhm, mhm.
PTZ. And so the first thing that I did, I'm just going to show you like how my brain works when I'm creating content. Uh, the first thing that I did is I did an Instagram live and I just started unboxing it. And Dan Roth was there. He was just like chilling and he was just like, okay, he was asking me questions. And the questions that him and the audience was asking me were questions that I was locking in and writing down as, oh, these are the things that I should answer when I do my Amazon review. So
Oh,
now I have the B-roll for the unboxing, and then I have the specific questions I want to answer from the live audience. Then I started creating the content for LinkedIn, so my B2B audience. And I had it all scripted out and I sent it over to ObsBot and I said, what do you think? They really liked it. And I was like, great. Then on LinkedIn, I had additional questions from people, and I'm like, oh, this would actually be really good for the Amazon review that I have to do. So same same footage, but just different scripts every time of how I was putting that content together. So sometimes I'll say, this is a how-to tutorial. This is an unboxing. Common question that I usually get about X, Y, and Z is this, but it's one product. Like literally for this tiny two, I probably made like 6 different videos, which is probably why brands love working with me, because it's not just one video, right? Like in the past, I would probably say 2017, when I first started live streaming, I would do an unboxing video. And then my first version of Digital Confetti was I would make it into a live stream and then a short form video. And then that was it. Now, when you think about all the different things that you could do to generate affiliate income,
Right.
Or passive income and all that other stuff, it's like Amazon, it's TikTok, it's TikTok Shop, it's Instagram Reel. Now it's a Facebook Reel. It's all these different things, but I'm testing out different scripts to kind of see what works with different audiences,
That's
and
good.
and I don't know if people realize this, because sometimes people will say things like, oh, making content is so hard. And I realized it's because people aren't making what's called like a content assets database. Now, I know you guys are like filing and storing your content in certain ways, and you're naming it.
Yeah.
And so
your B-roll and whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when I got the email that ObsBot was having an after holiday sale, guess what? I just pulled it back out of the content assets database, went back, and I said, P.S., by the way, they're having a sale. Here's my promo code. And
it's done.
It's done. I didn't have to worry about it.
I love this. I'm definitely taking notes. I see Strick writing as well. He's unapologetic with his. He's like, oh yeah, I'm getting these notes.
I'm not even trying to stop her. Like, if she'll continue to talk, I'm going to continue to take notes. And guys, this is what you do when you have somebody like Stephanie on. They have the information. Like, she's been through all of this, and now she's given us. I'm 5 with 3 bullet steps under 5. Because if you don't have a live stream that you can turn into a reel that you could use for B-roll, that you can also do unboxing, like all the stuff that she said in there, Stephanie, to be honest with you, some people haven't made it to that step.
No,
they haven't even figured out that there's a product that I just ordered that if I want to make content, let's just do an open box. Let's do that open box live.
Yeah.
Let's make
your
raw
reaction. Like I'm actually taking the tape off of this right now. That's good.
Yes.
So, and the reason why I'm saying this, I want to kind of go back, because I have written a lot of notes here and I want to get through them all. But there's somebody, Stephanie, that has the camera. They've got the best lights. They got the SM7B microphone. They got the latest Rodecaster Pro 2 with all the bells and whistles. They have the latest and greatest overlays from Ecamm, with the listings of all your topics on the side. They had everything ready, and they have not recorded or went live yet. And they're stuck with the fact that I don't know what to do. I have everything, but they don't have that push. Like, something is stopping them. They're stuck with, maybe I need another piece of equipment. Maybe I need to get the Stream Deck. I don't have the Stream. I heard everybody talk about this new Elgato has come out with the
the teleprompter.
Yeah.
And I don't have the teleprompter. I haven't made content yet, but I don't have the teleprompter. I need the teleprompter. Tom Buck talked about the teleprompter and how great it was. I need to have it. What about those people, Stephanie?
Yeah. So one thing that I always tell people, it's not about the gear. It's about the gear up here. It's how do you motivate yourself? And I find that some people, the wheels start turning if you start teaching them content frameworks. So stay with me here.
Yeah.
So The first like aha light bulb moment that I had was I was at this conference by Mike Koenig's, and he was talking about like how he could help people write their book, their very first book, and publish it within like a week.
Sorry about that.
I got you. No worries.
So somebody just
And so
pulled the whole
one of the
message on that.
formulas that he had shared was the 10 by 10 formula. Now, you guys have heard this before because you've been with me long enough. And that 10 by 10 formula, it's your top 10 frequently asked questions about your business, your product, or your service.
Yeah.
And these are things that you find in your email. These are things that are people that are putting, on your social media and whatnot. And then you're going to write down the top 10 frequently asked questions. These are questions that, or I'm sorry, you should ask questions. These are questions that people should ask, but they don't know because they're not the expert, right? So sometimes people will say, well, how much does that Elgato mic cost? Well, it's like, well, it really depends. Like, tell me about your studio, right? Like, is it soundproofed? Do you want cardioid? Like, what do you want, right? What are you trying to accomplish? And I think when you write down your 10 by 10, your top 10 frequently asked questions, your top 10 should ask questions, then you have 20 topics that you could talk about. The next step, and I'm giving you the whole thing, your next step then is to look at it and say, if I were to organize these into content buckets of beginner, intermediate, or advanced, guess what, friends? You now have like season 1, season 2, season 3 of just ideas, right? Now, if you were to actually map this out, this is another formula for you. So mapping this out as a formula is understanding that people learn by asking very specific questions. So
Yeah.
we'll oftentimes have people that are why learners, like, why do I need to know this right now? Why is this important? Why should I stop what I'm doing so I could pay attention to the three of us, right? Then people want to know, what are the keywords? What are the terms? What's the gear? Just basically kind of like the facts, the figures, and the stats. Then
Yeah.
you have the how audience, and the how audience wants to know, well, how do I get started? Or how do I implement this into my day-to-day? How will this impact me, my life, my family, my business, my legacy, however, how deep you want to go about it. And then you have your what if audience. And your what if audience is basically people that are kind of like skeptics. They're like, well, if I do follow Stephanie's advice, what are the advantages or what are the disadvantages?
Wow.
Then you also have, well, what happens if I don't do it?
Right.
Right. So going back real quick, you have your 10 by 10 formula. You now created 20 ideas. Now you've organized it into seasons 1, season 2, season 3. Now I'm going to throw you into the middle of it. So the middle of it is the why, what, how, and what if. And you could say, hey, everyone, my name is Stephanie, and today I'm going to talk to you about what? I'm going to talk to you about this Elgato Wave 3 mic. And the reason why I love it is because when I need to be outside of my studio, I could just easily pack it up and take it with me. So how I got it to work is I basically took the USB-C, plugged it into my MacBook Pro, and I'm good to go. So if you're ever looking for a new mic to take with you, then this is something that you should consider. You could find it on Amazon, you could da-da-da. But what you just heard is me walking you through that whole entire structure
The whole
of,
process. Yeah.
this is what I'm talking about. This is why it's important. This is how you can use it. And if you want it, da-da-da. So whatever topic you have, that's kind of like your structure.
Okay,
Now,
Stephanie,
the
can I
other
stop you right there? Hold what you got.
Yeah, go
Hold
for
what
it.
you got. I just need a moment to let that simmer. Okay. I should just
I'm
go
not
ahead
gonna
and
lie.
hit M on my keyboard, everything. Let me just mark that, the whole nine.
There's a lot. That's a lot.
Now, this is why when Kirk and I
That's
was
good.
talking about getting unstuck, we wanted to get Stephanie on this first show.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know what you're doing right now while you're watching this, but this is absolutely free to you. Like, I'm sure this is a paid class from Stephanie. She will charge you a lot of money for this content, but she's giving us time. And she's not even at home, guys. Yeah. She's in a hotel room, taking the time to come onto the stream show to give you this information. Please lock in. She basically gave us the framework. Kirk, I could end the show right now from just what she already said. And I had to stop her from giving more information out.
Yeah. No, this is everybody, everybody goes into the new year with things that they want to be mindful of or focused on. One of the things for me is I want to stop taking for granted the wealth of knowledge that are right in my own circles.
Right. That's right.
there's just so much, not like I could go to some of all these, but there's so much knowledge in our own circles that it's just crazy to me. I mean, and what she just shared a second ago is it literally can walk you through what you need to say. If you're talking about, it doesn't really matter what the content is or what the subject is or
Right.
why, how, why, what, how, and what if. My goodness, I just had to peek at my notes in order because my notes are
yeah. I mean, she gave us the framework. She gave us the framework. Listen, if you're watching this live stream right now and you have a question about what we're talking about, like you just heard her structure, you took the notes, maybe you missed a piece of it, Q : your question, and then we will get to it, okay? Mr. Camera Junkie, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. I see you in the comments, and we're going to get to some more of the comments in a minute, but I had to stop her so that we could kind of catch our breath just a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to catch up a little bit,
But you ended with taking the Elgato and saying, this is what it is. Mm-hmm. This is why I use it. This is how you can use it. And if you are looking for this, if you want this is where you can go. Now, you are about to go to the next step from that. After you've made the video, you're positioned this way from what's next.
Yeah. So if you wanted to expand on that, right? Well, it's kind of like when you're creating content, how do you pull people in, right? And so typically you would want to start with a story. And so in your story, I'd be like, oh my gosh, you guys, I had booked this interview way back when, I don't know, like even December. DJ Strick had hit me up and I was like, cool, that's awesome. That's great. I could show him my whole new studio. But then I realized, oh my gosh, I had this amazing opportunity to go to CES. And then I had to pause and be like, well, but what would I pack with me? Because if I really think about it, I have a Rodecaster Pro, I have a Shure. I can't bring this whole studio for me. So how could I create a studio in a box? All right. So, and then you go into your why, what, how, and what if. But you pull them into this story and you kind of get your audience like, well, what would you bring? So even when I say like, well, how would you build a studio in a box? And then Rainy Cajun, Camera Junkie, they could all be like, oh, well, I would do this and da-da-da. But now you're getting that engagement from your live audience. Like, I didn't even think about that. Da-da-da-da. But as you do that, you're getting feedback from them. And after like, let's say you're done with this show, since you already have the structure of like how you're opening it up and you have the why, the what, the how, the what if, when you transcribe it, obviously that's going to be your blog post. It's going to be SEO friendly. Now you're ranking for it. Like one of the big things for me, I mean, both of you know this, I rebranded as Stephanie Garcia. And so all of last year, my whole big thing was I need to get on as many live streams and as many podcasts as possible. I need to create so much content that says published by Stephanie Garcia. So then this year, which I mean, we're just starting the new year, but I went to Google Chrome, I did incognito, and I searched my name. And guess what? I started seeing my photos. I started seeing the guest podcast that I was doing. And I was like, this works.
And you saw the stream show and you're like, man, Strick is really getting me out there.
Yes. So yeah, basically, if you want to join the ranks of like your Google SEO, hit up Strick. He'll get you on the first page.
Come on.
To the top.
I just don't want anybody to miss that piece though. Somebody, when she was telling the story, which was supposed to be an example, you missed that it was an example and you got pulled into the story. You see what I'm saying? Because that's what story does. And then she said, oh, and then you say that, you go back into your why, what, how, and what if, and you probably got jolted back to the fact that, I thought this was no, she gave you the actual, like that was a real story. And this is what story does. Story is such a cheat code for content. I mean, I was talking to a guy who's again trying to figure out, I was like, well, I'm not necessarily an expert on some certain pieces of the topic. I'm like, just tell it from the perspective of your story, because you're an expert in your story. Nobody's going to argue with you on your story, your experience with said thing.
Your experience.
That's it.
Yeah.
And no one could refute your experience of your story. Your story is not a lie.
Yeah.
They may say, okay, where do you get those numbers from? If hey, this is the data. Well, where did you get that data from? I don't believe that. But when it's your experience
There's
and
so
your
many.
story,
Mm-hmm.
it's believable to people.
Yep.
That being
Yep.
said, I just think that as we go back to people being stuck,
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen some studios in the Ecamm fam that are just amazing. Okay, I mean, just outstanding. Some of the things you guys are using, your studios and your desk setups, great. What are you building content on? Now, this
Yeah.
10 by 10, am I saying that right? 10 by
Yeah,
10?
give me time.
10 by 10 framework. Let's just start there. You got 10 questions, 20 questions that you're building that you can build content on. Now, Stephanie, how long should people be stuck on the 10 by 10? Because at some point, you got 20, right? You got to start with one. Like, I'm really
You do.
trying to drill down to you're ready to go live, you're ready to record something, you're ready to post, you're ready to upload onto YouTube. What is stopping you? So if you got
Mm.
20 ideas, you got to start with one. How do you get there? How do you get over that hump? And we gave them the framework because I feel like, man, if they start with a story, and I'm gonna stop so you can answer this in 1 second. They got a
Oh, yeah,
story.
okay.
You
Yeah,
gave them the framework of what that video should be like, but they gotta start with number one.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's funny because lights, camera, live, people always think that lights actually stands for the lighting, but it's not. When I say lights, I'm talking about what actually lights you up inside. What
Yeah.
actually gets you excited? Like, for what purpose are you doing this? And so oftentimes I have to ask people, when you're creating content, who's it for? Like, who's that
Mm.
one person that you're actually talking
Mm.
to? And how is this going to help them solve that problem? Or you could
Yes.
even reframe it as, if you had just started your journey, what's the one thing that you wish that you had known? Or if you could go back in time, what would you tell yourself? And go about it that way. And what I also tell people too is, when you start filming your content, like, you guys probably have the same strategy as me, but you probably haven't been consciously aware of it. So even when I was getting ready for this, I was like, how do I make sure that I feel confident and I don't have any nerves because I'm in a different environment? How do I get confident? And so then I said, okay, well, I'm going to make sure that I have everything set up the way that I want to. I'll test things out. And
Hmm.
then I'm going to fix my hair. I'm going to do my
Hmm.
makeup. I'm going to make sure that I look good, because if I look good, then I feel good. And if I
I had to do
feel
my
good,
hair
then
and
that's
makeup
awesome.
too.
And
Uh,
then,
all of the above.
and then knowing that the show is going to start at a certain time, I was going to show up extra early so I could rebuild rapport with
Hmm.
Strick, because I haven't seen him for a while. Like,
Hmm.
I know that we're talking in the messages, but I want to get like, hey, it's me, it's you, we're friends, and go about it that way.
And go about that
So,
way. Yep.
to long story short, there's a strategy that you have for becoming confident. And so for me as a guest right now, that was my strategy. I had to make sure that I knew what my gear was, that I was set up, and I was confident. Okay. When I'm at home, that's a whole different story. When I'm the
Yeah.
host, I'm like, pfft, I've got like Spotify playing. I know no one else is in the house with me, but I'll spray on some perfume. I'll do,
Hey. it-
I'll do whatever it is that I have to do to hype myself up. And then I start
Absolutely.
recording.
Got you.
Does that make
Got you.
sense?
Yeah, it
Cheat
Like,
does.
code.
It
Cheat
does.
code.
before you go to the gym, you hype yourself up to go to the gym. So
That's
before you
Yeah.
right.
start recording, you have to hype yourself up before you start recording, before you start live streaming, because your energy is really, that's what's going to resonate when people start watching you. So
So
I'm
good.
already thinking ahead of the game of like, once I'm done with the show, what do I want people to feel after they watch the three of us? What do I want them to do? And those are the
Mm.
things that I'm focusing on. Notice that I'm not like, oh my God, are people going to judge me because I'm not using my shirt? I'm not even worried about that, because in my
Mm.
mind, I'm focused on, what do I want the outcome to be? What is my desired outcome? And who do I have to be to make sure that that desired outcome actually becomes a reality?
Wow.
So once you've got your 10 by 10, your why, what, how, and what if, then it's all inner stuff.
From there, yeah.
Yeah.
As in public speaker school, uh, they teach you this there's a routine that public speakers do. I'm told Eric Thomas does 50 push-ups. That's not my thing. It's not my story. But there's an energy he wants to, a consistent energy he wants to portray and come across with when he takes the stage. And it's very similar in terms of content, very similar in terms of live. You want, just like you said, how do I want them to feel when they walk away from this? When they're done watching this video, when they're done with this live stream, how do I want them to feel? And there's a lot of that. It comes from that energy that you're going to put off, that the way that you are going to present yourself, and that cheat code or that routine or that, pre-show checklist, whatever it is, it comes in so many different names. That is a lot of the times the recipe that gets you into the space that allows you to deliver. And it's very personal. I mean, very, very personal. And it does require testing, right? Because I don't know. Sometimes it's like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. But once you do find something that works for you, you kind of write that down and say, okay, maybe I might try that again. Because I really liked how I was able to deliver. So there's some testing that goes along with it as well.
Yeah. And it's funny, India just mentioned something in the comments about like anchors. Anchors is kind of like, it's like this domino effect that happens. And I know now it's because it's like Pavlov's dog. When Pavlov would ring the bell and the dogs would start to salivate.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but as soon as like my studio lights come on, I come on.
Me
like
too.
It's a whole like,
yes.
It's like all of a sudden Iron Man
Yes.
just happens and I'm like, and it just emits, and it's crazy.
It's so crazy that I totally resonate with what you're saying, because after a while you're just like, oh, I'm in the studio. Oh, Strick's live. Let's go. Oh, Stephanie's on. Let's go. There's like the energy level is just rising. So
and it was so my experience with being a content creator, of course, while I was doing it, it's on the radio. And we didn't call ourselves content creators. I was a DJ. I was a host. Okay, that's what I did. But the experience for me was live streaming, of course, without video. Because when I hit the red button, the sign goes on. It says on air. And you have just seconds to be able to go from one song, say something, introduce, like outro one song, introduce a new song, and then give your station call letters into the new song. Like it was just seconds. We're talking less than 30 seconds. You got to do all of this. And sometimes, we may go a little longer getting into new songs or introducing particular songs that we were promoting. But the whole thing was when I pressed the button, I've learned how to turn on. Like the DJ voice would come on. I'm DJ Strick. Hey, we got this song coming on. Listen, you don't want to miss an opportunity to hang out with us and the station at this location. Please be there. And right now, you've been asking for it all day. Here's the new Kirk Franklin. And basically, I'm doing that just seconds into it. Guess what? It became a skill and a gift of mine. Live streaming. I hit the button and I'm on. And I'm saying this because if you are stuck with all the equipment trying to get on, we're giving you the framework. Yeah. I love the fact that you gave us a jewel with the lights. And what lights you up. Like you have to light up to do this. And then when you light up, whatever the gifting is, if you light up better recording it and you feel better that you don't have all the anxiety of I may mess up when I'm live, record it. If you're like me and love hitting the button and going live regardless of all the mistakes you can possibly make, I care less about mistakes. I want to engage with people. So live is where I want to be. But I know that. And for people that may be stuck, figure out where you're gift is, like what are you better at, and then even if you feel like you're good, continue to work on it. Just work on it all the time. I would be in the car listening to someone else's show and sometimes listening to my own show, getting better, but I would take the songs and I would do intros and outros while I'm driving in the car, just listening to the radio. Guess what it did? When I got into the studio, I had all those reps just driving around in the car.
Come on.
Like this is not good. This is not easy. Well, I say it's not easy because if it was, everybody would be building content. You
Yeah.
could do it. It just takes a little work, a little practice. Get out of your way. You got the 10 by 10s. You got the framework that Stephanie gives us. She says, hey, lights means whatever lights you up. I will say this. And Stephanie, I want you to kind of follow up with this. I know you got something to say about this. Internally, when you're doing content creation, I always teach this with your niche or niche, however people like to say it, what you love to do, what you're
Hmm.
skilled at, and then how you help other people. Allow helping other people be a foundation for what you do, like the mindset behind I'm going live, I'm recording this because I want to help you by answering these 20 questions that I curated.
That's good. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and not many people will create that much content around a particular topic. And so going back to like Strick and SEO, the more content that you create around it that's foundational and it goes deeper and it niches down, that's actually what establishes you as an expert in that field. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you, like you guys have heard me say this too before, once you have like so many episodes around a particular topic, like literally I could write like the how to get started with the Ozbot Tiny 2 guide because I've created so much content around it now.
Wow.
I've flubbed so many times with it. Now I've come up with my own workflow process for how I'm going to use it, when I'm going to use it, why I would want to use it, who would I recommend it for. So there's so much you could do. Your content doesn't just get digital dust once it's been published. You always get to
Mm.
go back and see what really resonated with people, the follow-up questions that people have. So you could keep building on it if you wanted to be the XYZ expert of a particular topic. You just have to create different versions of it and see what sticks.
So good. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
And I'm going
One of the
slow
things.
right now, Kirk, on purpose because we're talking about so much. I want
Yeah.
it to sink in for people. Like I'm telling you, when you create content, you want to help people. Like the mindset for this show, for Kirk and I to have Stephanie on and for her to give this time, the mindset is we really want to help people get unstuck. We really want to hear the stories of, man, January started in January. I think it was the first Sunday. And I was watching the stream show, and they gave us some real practical tips to really help us create content for 24. And it's May, and it's August, and it's September, and people are really knocking it out of the park because they got started.
Yeah.
And
If I,
that's
if
the
I can add
reason.
one more thing for you, it's your stories, kind of like when we were talking about that before. You have to turn your stumbling blocks into stepping stones for the next
Yes.
wave of content creators
That's it.
because the way that you stumbled into it is going to be very different. Like, I am so different from Luria, love her, right? But
Right?
she was in that field. I stumbled into live streaming from being an ad agency veteran. So I started off with what was it? What was that mic that Doc always made fun of me with?
Oh,
The Blue
Blue
Yeti.
Yeti.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I thought that for me at that time, it was great. It served its purpose,
It did.
right?
Yeah.
But I held on to that for probably maybe like 2 or 3 years, and then I eventually got into the shirt. And you know what I'm saying? Like
Please tell me you still
everything,
have that microphone.
I still have it. It for
Please
me,
keep
it
it.
brings me
Yes.
fond memories.
Yes.
Of
You
course.
got to keep your first mic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have to.
I pay my respects to it because it held it down. But it wasn't the mic that
Come
made
on and
me
talk about
different
it.
from everyone
That's
else.
it.
It was
That's
the
it.
reps that I put in.
That's
It
it.
was me going live, being committed to saying, I'm going to go live, rain or shine. I'm going to do this show. If somebody shows up, if they don't show up, I'm still going to create this content because I know that at some point, somebody may watch this live. They may watch it on the replay. They may say like, oh, I just want the blog recap, or they just want to download the transcript. I know that what I have to say is going to make an impact. And so it was never about the mic.
Never.
Yeah.
Say that again, Stephanie. You said you
That's
knew
so
it's not
good.
about because I established what I said with people being stuck because they got all the equipment and looking for more equipment, but haven't recorded or went live yet.
Mm.
And you have the confidence in saying, regardless of the equipment that I have the content inside of me that's going
Mm.
to help people.
Yeah.
I think
I,
that's
I feel like
awesome.
at some point in your life, you have to realize that word of mouth marketing is nice when other people vouch for you, when they advocate for you. But you have to be in control of your messaging. You have to be the author of the story that you want to tell. And
That's
so
good.
you have to figure out what that story is, what that hook is, what that analogy, what is that metaphor. And what I love about live streaming is that people will always come to the table to give you their reasons. This is why I haven't started yet. This is what's stopping me. This is what I need to, how I should get started and whatnot. And I think for all of us as content creators, it helps us become better storytellers. It
Mm.
helps us come up with other different ways to help people become unstuck, because the
Right.
story of how I became unstuck only worked for me. So then
Right.
I have to, it's like I become a story collector of,
Yeah.
well, how did you become unstuck? And then so if my story doesn't resonate, I could say, well, my good friend DJ Strick and Kirk, they told me a story about how they became unstuck. And then maybe that might stick. But at least
Right.
in my brain, I'm creating that. It's like a story bank. So
Yeah.
if my story doesn't land, well, let me tell you Kirk's story,
Yeah.
or let
Right.
me tell you Strick's story.
Right.
Yeah. 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 It's all there's a lot of self-discovery that's required, but yeah, you have to take a bet on you. I mean, you have to recognize that there's something in you that is worth, taking that leap of faith and putting that content out there. So there's a reason why your voice is needed on a particular thing, and your audience is there waiting for you. So I don't know. There's so many different. I can't tell you how many coaching sessions I've been in the last 2 weeks, and I'm just trying to get folks to recognize. Let's
You
not
know,
do anything else. Let's create content or go live. Let's just do that. Let's do that one thing, and let's start from there. Because man, yeah. Otherwise, you're starting to get into a little bit of a I get time suck as well. One of the things for me, I think a lot of times we look at from so many different angles. I wanted to do this series. I've been wanting to do this series called Morning Motivation. Well, just motivation. It was a motivational series. My audience has been asking me to do this for a while, but I could not. I don't know. It's just something about hitting record on a motivational thing. How-to videos, easy. Motivational, I was just like, I'm much better live. And then it just clicked. Oh, I'll do them live.
yeah.
And
Oh,
now,
let me tell you, like so let's say the obs bot tiny too. I didn't know what I was gonna say. I was just like, I'm just gonna go live because the audience is gonna tell me what it is that they know. And same thing.
perfect.
Like my very first push-up was weak, but now after a couple of years and whatnot, like I'm fine. I got this. And so
Yes.
everything is an iteration that you build on it. Your
Yes.
your first live
Yes.
stream is never going to be the perfect one. And even if it was, guess what? If your first live stream is perfect from A to Z, you waited too damn long.
Right.
You waited
Mm,
too.
Right. You
You should
can
have
mm.
go
just put
into
it
the
out there.
gym
Yeah.
and push up the first time you can do 300 pounds. Like something is wrong here. Like you
Something's
need to
off.
be in the Olympics, right? You've missed your calling. Like
Oh my
you're
gosh.
naturally strong. You could do more. And I really appreciate you saying this for people because sometimes we need to understand that you got to put reps into this.
Yeah.
Sometimes we got to understand when you hit the button for the first time and you're trying to get unstuck, it's not going to be good.
Mm.
Like nobody in your family may not tell you it's good. I'm telling you, it's not good. And I
It's not
haven't
gonna be
even
good.
seen it yet. Okay. But it's part of the process. It
Yeah.
is part of everybody has experienced hitting the button, going live, or recording something,
Yeah.
and it was hot trash. All of
Come
us
Okay,
on.
have
so
experienced it.
so this is what I always tell people is to know that something is not a chair is to first know what makes it a chair.
Come on.
And so for you to know what makes a live stream good is to know what makes it not good. And so until you actually go live and forget to hit the unmute button, then you realize, oh,
Oh,
That needs to be my checklist. You
Yes,
know?
that's how you learn how to build one, right? Making
come
all the
on.
mistakes.
Exactly. And so you learn while doing at times. Yes, there are checklists out there that, we try to prevent you from all of that stuff too, but just know that you may even just have a learning strategy where you like to learn the hard way. There are just some people that are like that.
That's
They're
me.
like, I
I
want
had
to
to learn
I
the
want to
hard way.
save you the drama, but some people just have to go through it and
And
make it
that's how we
happen.
learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
How we learn.
Yeah, that's not a wrong thing. I mean, you can learn both ways. You can take the cheat code from somebody else, or you can, hit every stumbling block in the road. It's completely up to you. But as long as you're willing to, as they say, fail fast, fail often, learn from it and keep moving, you'll
Yeah.
you'll get to the same place, maybe even
Right.
faster. It's just,
Yes.
if you're just gonna be timid, if you're gonna be like, oh, I'm not certain, I don't know what else is out there, you're never gonna know what is out there till you actually
Yeah.
take that step.
You know
That's
what
good
you could
stuff.
call it too is I read it in this book by Jim Quick. He's the author of Limitless. And he said that to fail is your first attempt in learning. So
Mm,
this live stream will be my first fail. The second live
that's
stream will be my second fail.
second fail
But it's just first attempt in learning and
in
you just
learning.
you just keep building on it.
Yeah.
There
There's
is no
Yeah.
no
failure, there's only feedback.
Feedback. Feedback. I tell people that you can't get to the best part of the process, which is review, until you've actually done the thing at least once. And
Yeah.
then after you've reviewed that thing the first time, you don't get to review the second one until you've actually done it a second time. And review is where all the fun is. Review is where the growth happens. Review is where you learn. Review is where you innovate. Review is where you improve, but you can't get to review until you're actually done the thing. So I love, I mean, so many things that you're sharing here today. If you are stuck, this is the cheat code. These are some of the things that, from a mental perspective, from a insight perspective, and just getting it done perspective. These are some of the nuggets of wisdom that we wanted to make sure we start the year with our good friend Stephanie Lou. This is awesome tonight. I see so
so
Can
many
I
people
share
in the
something
chat.
with you
Oh, please.
real quick?
yes.
Um, so some of you may or may not know this, but I have an 8-year-old daughter. And so sometimes when we are doing something, I always have to remind her. I say, okay, baby, this is our first time doing it. So it might not be perfect, but we're going to figure out the strategy of how to make it perfect. And I say this
Mhm.
because over the holidays, we got like this little thing called a nanotape, which basically she's seen all the TikTok videos of how to like get this nanotape, put all like the confetti and stuff in there, and then you put a straw and you blow it up and it becomes like this really cool ball. And I
Mhm.
said, okay, baby, just know that when we do this, this is our first time trying because when people are putting their videos out there on
Yes.
YouTube Shorts and on TikTok, they're just showing you the edited final process. They're not
Come
showing
on.
you
Good.
how many times it took them. So, and then I would just explain to her because I was like, I'm trying to blow this bubble and then it pops. I'm like, oh, baby, I just learned that it popped because mommy has long nails. I wonder what you can do so that way it doesn't pop. And then she teaches me. But the reason why I share this with you is because how many of us grew up, you have to get it right the first time.
Right.
Yes.
And I feel like even as a content creator, there are so many things we still have to unlearn, but we don't really realize
Yes.
it. And I just want, and that's just another story from the story bank of how I want to teach you that fail is just your first attempt in learning.
Learning. So
Oh my
good.
goodness. So let's do this. I got to get to the comments. We have so many people in the comments. Dr. Speaks is she asked, "Are we taking questions?" Yes, we are. All you have to do is put a Q colon in front of your question, and Stephanie's here. I don't want to keep her long, guys. Like we're getting close to an hour, so if you got questions, please give them really, really quick. She's gracefully giving us our time because all of us, everyone you see here on this screen, cares about your content creation journey and we are willing to help. That being said, let's get into these comments really, really quick. And
Mhm.
I want to shout you guys out and thank you for being patient with us. I don't know even where to start. I guess I'll start here with India because I haven't talked to her in a long time. So I'm so
Yeah.
grateful that you would hang out with us today, India. Thank you so very much for being here. And then
Yeah,
Gretchen,
absolutely.
thank you that you made it in. And then Eric, he's saying hello to everybody. So thank you so very much. And yeah, great list of 3 things, Strick. So he was talking about my niche, how you actually build that, and experimentation. Great idea, Stephanie. And then we have Silverhead Fitness.
Yep.
Yeah, I did get
Oswald
that up.
Tail. Hmm.
That's what's
Yep.
up. That's what's
I
up.
love it. Yeah,
And
that's great.
if I
That's
haven't
my next
shouted,
one. That's the next one I have to unbox. And then guess what? I'm still going to pull the B-roll footage from the Tiny 2 when I compare it to the Tail Air.
There you go.
that's cool. So she's
Because
giving you.
yeah, you're
We're talking
stacking.
about comments, and she's still giving you cheat codes, guys. This is what we're here for. Lala's hanging out with us today. Thank you, Lala, and it's great
Love
to
it.
have you here, Mr. Camera Junkie. If I haven't already shouted you out, definitely wanted to do that. And mastery process from Rick: try and apply, review and reflect, plan
I love
and
that.
improve. Really, really good stuff, sir.
It's
What
such a
else
great
is there?
framework.
Anna,
Ah!
what's up, girl? Thank
Hey.
you for hanging out with us. And here we go. I think Gretchen has a question. Yes, hey, yes, Kurt, go live. It's like Simply Obs and her morning motivation minute. She goes live every. Okay, why not give a plug to somebody else's
I love
show,
it.
right?
I love it. I love
Why
it.
not? That's what we're
I
here
love it.
for.
Yeah.
Um, for everybody that is learning something, fill our hearts to the reason why Kirk had the idea of doing an Unstuck show and we decided to get Stephanie. It's about you. If you feel that, and if you are really getting something out of this show today, yes, hit the like button for me. I really do appreciate that. And so Dan is helping us out. He says, DJ, now I won't say Stephanie says, I'll say Stephanie said. Well, there you go. There you go. There you go. And I'm still waiting on your questions, guys. If you do have them, please get them in. Regardless of that, I am just at all at the information you're giving us here. Stephanie, it has been worth the call out. It's been worth the promo. Like everything that you talked about today has really, really been helpful to me, and I know it's helping other people. But I want to ask you this one question as other questions come in.
I got one too.
Okay, great. Um, when we think about building content, being a content creator, I know you come from an ad agency and you then kind of position yourself as a content creator coach. I mean, there's so many different titles. I remember seeing you 3 years ago for the first time, and like whoever this young lady is, I really like her. And it wasn't any of the equipment. It was your heart to help people, to help other content creators learn some things. Like it was my first time seeing you, it was a real advanced class. Like, oh my gosh, I'm learning so much. Like it was great. And I feel your heart each time I watch you helping people learn. I still hear this in my head. How you like that? Like I should have had the
Come
button
on.
ready for the show today, but I mean it's
Come
just so
on.
iconic, like what you do inside
Oh
of your
man.
show for other people. Stephanie, where do you find to help people that are stuck? Where do you find your inspiration for actually doing this content creation, to actually helping people in this way?
So I have this thing too. I learned it from my good friend Brian Fanzo, and he called it an awesomeness folder. And in this awesomeness folder, whenever you have someone that gives you the type of love and feedback that, just like Strick just said, for me, I would clip that part out, or I would take a screenshot of that comment and I would always put it in this folder as a reminder to, this is why I'm doing this. So I remember even my very first speaking engagement, this young lady had came up to me, and she's Filipina, and she's like, oh my God, I've never seen another Filipina on stage talk like you, walk like you, be sassy like you. She's like, I've never seen it. And she said, thank you so much. And I was just like, babe, I took her by the hand. I was like, babe, you can do it too. Like,
Wow.
it shouldn't just be me, because we have different personalities, the way we experience things, our stories and stuff. And that's where I find inspiration is what connects with people. Or sometimes when when there's a topic that I really like and I realize no one else is talking about it from my perspective or who even looks like me, I'm like, oh, it's my turn. It's my turn to do something. And let me explain
Mm.
to you how this impacts me, my industry, my role and whatnot. And so that's where I find the inspiration from, because when I look at YouTube, God, I can name them all. They don't look like me, you
Right.
know? And so I just have to keep reminding myself, if I do this, I'm gonna do it my way. And I know that who I'm talking to, yes, it could be helping the next person, but I, I think in my head, I imagine that I'm talking to the 8-year-old version of me.
That's so
'Cause
good.
if I could go back to 8-year-old me, I'm like, "Babe, did you know that in a
Yeah.
couple of years from now, you're gonna have your own YouTube channel and you're gonna be telling
Yes.
people," and she would just be like, "What?"
What?
She's
Right.
like, "Yeah, that
Ah.
it's for the
Ah.
little girls, that's where I find the inspiration from." Like, and then I see my little one and I'm like, "Babe, you could do it." Like,
Mhm.
people used to make fun and just be like, "Oh, you wanna be a YouTube star," and it's like, there is no shame in creating content. Like,
That's right.
you see these content creators now, they have their brands, their own merch, and, Mr. Beast even has his own philanthropy and whatnot, so it's great.
Ah, that's good.
Kirk, I know you have a question.
Yeah. I was looking in the chat just to make sure that we give space for anybody else, but nobody's dropped anything there except for Mommy Guide is shocked that you are a Filipina, as I'm assuming as well. I don't know. She says, "Oh, that's super cool." So, or super proud. She says super proud. So she says super proud. I love that. I love that. Representation absolutely matters. But I wanted to ask, very selfishly, I'm working with somebody right now and they're trying to figure out how to move the needle, what type of content they should make to help bring clients to their business.
Mm,
They without going into all the details, but they want to make content from the perspective of, I want to funnel clients to my business.
yeah.
And so whether or not the content is like, you know, monetized, that's actually not her why. Her why is, I have this service and I want people to know about this service. I want people to patronize this service. I want to shine a floodlight on this service. And I think content can do that. I believe content can. I just want to get your perspective on this question.
Yeah, so I would point her to content marketing. And so what that means is there's certain content that you have to create for top of the funnel, which actually creates that awareness,
Mhm.
right? And remember, people learn by asking very specific questions, but they also learn by different modalities. Some people will watch a live stream. Some people don't have time for that. Some people will watch a short form video, but then they want to know more. Some people will want to read a blog post, but it might not be out there. There might be an ebook. Those are all different formats that you can do, but you have to create content like that's top of the funnel that tells your customer that they have a problem, because they might not realize that they don't have a problem, which is why they're not
Yeah.
asking for the service. And then your middle content, we call it MOFU, is where you start to dive into it a little bit deeper, right? Of these are reasons why you might be experiencing these symptoms or whatever, all that other jazz. You may have tried this and that didn't solve your problem. You may have tried that and that didn't solve your problem. Have you ever wondered about da 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 da? And then you could put in all your facts, your figures, your stats, and all that other stuff. And then bottom of the funnel is like, okay, so now that you've been following along on this journey on your own, right? Because people will research the way that they need to research. Then that's when you create the bottom of the funnel content where it's like, sign up for my newsletter, subscribe to my channel, book a consulting call. Where
Mm-hmm.
most people miss out is they say, hey, I launched a new course, buy my course. And you're like,
Yeah.
but for what purpose would I want to buy
Yeah.
this course?
Yeah.
It's missing a whole entire piece. Like, you think of it as like a content sandwich. Like, you have the top
Mhm.
of the bun and the bottom of the bun, but where's the beef? Where's
What's
the
the rest?
beef?
What's the rest? Yeah.
It's like, where's that? And so even when you're creating that content, you still want to measure like what's really resonating. So there are different formats and scripts where I know that it will crush it on Instagram, but on LinkedIn, maybe not. On TikTok, you know. And so it's interesting for me to go look at my content and just see what's pulling people in. But at the end of the day, if you still want to turn your browsers into buyers, you need to create an email list. You need to create leads. Not every single post needs to be you selling all the dang time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want it just to be a commodity where people are comparing you based off of price. Most often, the reason why we buy things or we invest things with our time, like you guys actually spending time on a Sunday, is because we actually genuinely like that person. And so if you're that person that's the only time you call someone is like, hey, can you give me a ride to the airport? Don't be that person, right? Hey,
Don't be
do
that
you
guy.
need a
Yeah.
car detailing service? Hey, do you need a car? No, don't be that person. Be someone that's relatable
Mm-hmm.
and helps people really get through that decision-making process. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
That and
So
then some. A couple of people are in the chat want you to kind of spell out what "bufu mufu" means, but yeah, no, I've taken my notes. I've definitely hit my marker button on the stream deck. That was gold. Thank you so much for answering
yeah,
that for me.
for me, and then this is just for you. So I created like this content strategy doc basically in Notion. And so a client will come to me and say, Stephanie, I have this product. I'm like, great. Show me all the content that you've created. And it maps out. It'll show them like, oh, they have the top bun, but not then they'll have the bottom bun, but nothing in the middle. And so
Mm,
that's the part where I say, if you've been creating 100 videos about the top bun and 100 videos about the bottom bun, and you're realizing that you're still not getting any freaking leads, it's
yeah,
because you're missing this
something in the
piece.
middle.
So start with this piece. And
Mm,
whatever format that is, like I said before, whether it's short form, live stream, podcast, whatever, that's the piece that they're missing out on, because people need that little extra push before they start investing, their head and their heart and whatnot.
that's good. No. Seriously, mommy guide is asking what's "bufu mufu."
Okay, so top of the funnel
Yeah.
is your awareness. We shorten it by calling it tofu.
Hmm.
Mofu is your middle of the funnel. This is where you start getting into like the how-to guides, the details, and overcoming objections and all that. It's like the meat of the content,
Yeah.
right? And then bottom of the funnel, which is bofu, is then you're going to offer what it is that you
Yeah.
have to offer. And so most people, it'll make sense where they say, oh yeah, I see that guy all the time talking about real estate every day. Buy a house, buy a house. It's like, bro, I don't have money to buy a house. First tell me
Yeah.
how, first tell me how to find financing to get a house, right?
Yeah.
So when
Top of the
you,
funnel, middle of the funnel. Yeah, got it.
yeah. So once you map it out, as you're coaching your clients, they'll start to realize the pieces that are missing and then
Mm,
go about it that way.
love it. Love it, man.
Stephanie, you do so much inside of your own community, digital confetti, and all of the classes that you have. Can you kind of help people that are watching tonight and they're like me, just enamored by who you are and all that you share, like how they can get in contact with you and even be a part of your programs?
Yeah, honestly, if you ever want to reach out, especially if you're an Ecamm fam, you could always go into the DMs. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. Digital Confetti, for those of you that are interested, it's really for that person that might not be able to invest in like a whole entire VIP strategy day. They know what it is that they want. They just want to have like my brain on speed dial and say, Stephanie, if you were doing this, what would you do? Because as you saw, like anytime you guys ask me a question, I'm like, here's the whole strategy of what it is that I do. And then I just check back in with you. I'm like, okay, Strick, did you do it?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, what stopped you from doing it? And then I
Yeah.
basically hold you accountable in that sense. And that's what digital confetti is. And I geek out a lot and I'll teach them the whole 94 ways to repurpose a live video. I give them my Notion templates of basically what I just told Kirk. I was like, Kirk, client said to me that he's been making 100 videos and had 0 leads. I'm like, that's because you're making the wrong videos, right?
That's
Right.
right.
And then once it clicks for them, they start building it out on their own. And now I just love seeing them say things like, oh, Stephanie, I'm doing a workshop. Oh, Stephanie, I'm creating my new lead magnet. Oh my gosh, I just created my email funnel series. It's a way for me to help you get out of your own way. Because literally if I
Mm,
say like, hey, the resource is over there, how come you haven't done it? Because I know it's not it's never about you having access to the internet. It's things are happening up here, and that's usually where I help most of my digital confetti members. It's like, what's going on? Are we just not making time for it? Is this just not a priority for you? Or is this doesn't align with your values? Because when your head and your heart don't align, that's when hurdles will always happen. And so you have to just be honest with yourself. Maybe you really don't want to do this, and that's why you're self-sabotaging. And then I stay quiet and let them figure it out.
Wow, I love it. If there was someone out there that've been listening to us, they feel unstuck, is there one tip that you could kind of help us with from your experience that can really catapult someone's content creation?
Yes. If someone came to me right now and said, Stephanie, I'm stuck, I would say, well, when did you decide that? Because at some point, you didn't decide that you were stuck. At some point, you woke up and said, I'm stuck. And I'm like, well, go to the day before when you weren't stuck. Because you could choose to be stuck. Literally no one is like put you in quicksand.
Gosh.
You're physically not. So when will you decide to be unstuck?
And I'm purposely not saying a doggone thing, because that is, from our last show, is gold.
That's good. Oh, I'm trying my best to just kind of stay in the quietness, but that's so good.
When did you decide?
To be stuck?
Kurt and I are, we have a lot of things in common, and part of it is we are in ministry in our different areas, and that question, Stephanie, a lot of times is for people in all aspects of their lives, because they have chosen different stories for themselves. And that question of when did you decide to be stuck? When did you decide to be depressed? When did you decide that this was the route that you should go? Yeah. Like, let's just start there. That is awesome. I normally don't really respond physically. I might say something, but I had to cover my eyes on that one. Yeah, let's do this. Stephanie, do you want to just give, like you said, people can DM you, the Facebook fam, like on Facebook and Instagram and all that. I don't want to say a doggone thing else to today's show.
Yeah. I would say, honestly, if you're tired of being underrated, underpaid, this is your time to be unstuck. So make that decision now. You know what it is that you have to do. You know who you could reach out to. The rest is up to you. No one's going to chase you. Okay? No one's going to chase you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The stream show. It's on every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm DJ Strick. I have my friend Kurt Nugent over there hanging out with me as a co-host. We asked her to come. She agreed to come, and she gave us some real jewels today. Stephanie Garcia, you are amazing. If anybody ever asks you why you think you're amazing, remember DJ Strick told you so.
Oh, that's going to be my next merch. I'm awesome because DJ Strick told me so.
It will sell out.
Yeah.
I promise you that. There's I'll let you say something, man, before we get out of here. I don't want to leave without having you say something.
There's I'm trying my best to make it very short because Strick knows I'm a talker, but there's a phrase that I memorized in college, and this is the year where I'm swinging for the fences. I've said that a couple of times, and one of the reasons why I'm swinging for the fences, I am done with the norm. And so the phrase is simply this: mediocrity is what you accept when your situation and circumstance have fooled you into believing that greatness cannot be attained. That greatness cannot be attained. 2024, let's be done with mediocrity. That's it.
I love it. Hey guys, I'll see you next week. Hey, this is DJ Strick, and I would like to thank you for watching another edition of The Stream Show.